politicians do not take time out to organize the community. As a matter of fact, they appear to be afraid to organize the community. But, of course, reality and truth tells us that the only way you get power is when the people are, in fact, properly organized. Thus, our major task is to organize our people because we really have no power at all. As a matter of fact, since the 1960s, we still have no power. We have some visibility, some more tricks, but as a matter of fact, the situation is getting worse. And the responsibility for organizing our people rests on each and every one of our shoulders, not just on one person's shoulder, not just a leader on the community, not just a preacher, but everybody has a responsibility to help organize the people. And perhaps in our discussion today, as we said, if this can come across more than anything else, then we will have served our purpose, that is, the responsibility for organizing the people. We can just discuss, however, organizing the people. Certainly we're disorganized. You see that, man? If you will organize the people, tell me about the first thing.
Well, you have to get their attention.
You have to get their attention.
They have to be interested in what you say.
All right, I like the first one. That's a good step. You must get their attention now. All right, let's think about some ways of going about to get their attention. If you wanted to get their attention, what were some of the things you would do to get their attention? Now, let us rule out immediately the mass media, all right? Let's rule that out completely because we don't control it, number one. The mass media is an arm of the United States government. Two, the mass media supports, sustains the capitalist system. Three, therefore it is to be properly understood, number four, that the mass media will not give any publicity to something that's going to destroy that which it supports. So we must leave out completely the mass media. We don't control it. So without the mass media, how would we go around trying to get the attention of our people? Stanley, why don't you help us? Louder.
I guess we have to make each other see that there's a need for us to come together. We have to bring out what it is, the problems that are common.
All right. We can bring out the common problems, show us the necessity to come together. All right. These policies, but I think what I was looking more for were tactics on how to bring the people, how to get the attention of the people. What simple little thing could you do to get the attention of the people?
It's word of mouth, communicating with each other.
Exactly, it's one, word of mouth. Just like we did with this little meeting, just go around, try and get the people. That's one way, yeah. Because you see, sometimes organizing the people appears to be a very difficult task. And especially this country, they try to make it appear as if it's impossible that our people just can't be organized. They make it appear that they just can't. In fact, people tell you all the time, well, you can't organize them. They ain't never going to come together. You know. And one of the reasons is because they make it so mystical, organizing the people. We must find scientific, step-by-step little approaches to bring our people together. My brother. Yes. All of them, all organizations are set up on ideologies, whether the people in the organization understand it or not. Of course, for example, America is a capitalist system, therefore the capitalist ideology reigns supreme, whether we are aware of it or not. But once you function within the society, if you're not functioning against the ideology, then unconsciously you're part of it. What are the things we can do, my brother? All right, we can try and do that, but we don't have any power to make them do it. As a matter of fact, if you notice very carefully, what happens is that some of them start off saying some real things, you understand, talking real bad, and then the man give them a little bit more money, and then they start talking more love and less struggle. So, while your point is good, you see, we have to look at the reality. For example, we can't say to the Funkadelics, for example, hey man, y'all are just, we can't do it. There's no way to force them. because you don't have any organization, even to go put guns to their head and tell them, if you sing this nonsense again, we're going to kill you. Even to do that, you must have an organized force. So in lack of the organized force, what you say is correct. We can go and try and make them conscious, but most of them anyway, with the money they're getting, they just can't see the people yet. You know. Some ain't even getting money, they're just getting publicity.
I noticed that there are a lot of little organizations in Anacostia. The main thing is to get the leaders of these same little organizations together, and maybe form a mass for all of them to come together at one time.
You can, of course, once you do that, you can have a lot of problems, especially if you start with the leaders. Because in this society, usually they tend to push, you know, the big fish in the little pond concept, you see, and when you start talking about the leader, see if he's a leader with about 3 people behind him, or a leader with about 10 people, come throw it in and be a nobody with in 50 people, one's kind of difficult. It's not saying it cannot be done. It must be done, it must be attempted. But, and then also in many cases, these organizations are set up for different purposes. What you can do is bring all the organizations together and form a united front. Each organization can still function, but to make them a mass organization, that one's a little bit more difficult. All right, we still also want to get ways to get the people's attention. One way, as you pointed out, is that we use word-of-mouth communications. Go around and say, there's a meeting, or we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, and try and get the people together. I just got a flyer out at 14th and Euclid, where I live. They're moving us out of the neighborhood fast and moving in white people very rapidly, and people just started putting out a flyer saying, you know, our neighborhood is changing, we have to wake up, be aware of this, we're having a meeting Sunday at such and such a church, come. All right, so now when I saw the leaflet, I said, oh, there's some people working on it, good. But at least now I know. So this is one way they've gotten my attention, through the leaflet, and they had it stuck up on a public telephone booth, that I went to make a telephone call and I saw it and was able to read it. So this is one way of probably getting the attention of the people. Because the first thing we want to do is to get the attention of the people, at least. Any other ideas on getting the attention of the people? We must take the interest of the people. Must take the interest of the people. We must take the interest of the people.
I might sound a little off key, but
Let's put it on there.
we saw with the young kids, like in school, I don't know what we can do about the school system, but how we teach our kids. What we say to them is very important. Instead of teaching them tic-tac-toe, you know, teaching them they don't get you from this point to that point, that can't be accomplished. You know, forget about the point that it's just a little round thing. You know, use it. I mean, we have a lot of opportunities over the kids, and we're not doing anything with them.
Well, the reason why we're not doing anything with them is because we're not organized. See, for example, I'm sure nobody in this church, I'm sure no African in Washington, D.C. hearing your remarks can disagree with it. Everybody will say yes, of course. See? But then now, the question of how is an organized force will even be telling the same thing. Because, for example, you may be telling your children something that you really think is good. You understand? Our sister here may be telling her children something she really thinks is good. Our brother here may be telling his children something he really thinks is good. But all three of them will be different. See, for example, my mother might tell me something that she really thinks is good, but I ain't going for it. So what you need is at least an organized force where you decide these things are good. And then everybody's saying the same thing at the same time, and you feel better. So the problem is correct, but again, we come back to the central issue of the organization of the community.
I think she had a very good point, because you have the PTA within the school system, and if parents can relate to each other during those PTA meetings, a whole lot can be accomplished just through the schools, through PTAs, because it's predominantly black, and I think it makes a lot of children that way. I think it's a good idea.
But it's still a question of organization.
But it's still an organization within the PTA, and if you have the right message to give, it can be joined together.
All right, then the question, I understand now. That is, for example, at least we must all be given the same message.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the problem, at least how we organize so we're all getting the same message.
But you can get one in each person in each area.
Yes.
You got something done, and that's where organization comes from.
I understand it, I'm not disagreeing with it, I'm just saying that even the one, for example, if we decide here, right, there are 5 PTA meetings in Washington, all right, we're sending you to one, 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 we're sending you to one.
We have a message.
Yeah, but everybody must at least have the same message.
Same message.
Yeah, because you might go and talk one thing entirely different.
Same message.
So the question of even getting those 5 organized first, that's the task.
You know, I was sitting here listening, with my ear, and this teacher over here in this school, there was an assistant principal, Richard Anacostia. She was teaching people, and the elder people hired to read, which they couldn't read, and got kids that graduating from high school, they can't read. And they fired her, but I want to know where our black people stood behind her. And they fired her, Richard Anacostia. And what he was talking about, that together, I don't think nobody even must have me and tried to get this lady back on her job. And she was taking her time, teaching school at night, teaching the elder people how to read. And she got fired. And I was nobody even ever stood up for the lady or nothing. We got city councils, you understand me, ain't saying nothing. We put John Wilson in there. Buried, all right. Legalizing marijuana and all that stuff. But what about this teacher over here that got fired? That was teaching the kids and grown people how to read. Now I want somebody to answer that question. I wanted y'all to go over there and try to help a lady. That's what he was saying. That's what he was trying to say. That's what he was trying to say. You got to get it together.
Thing is not what you would say really organized, but the thing is the passing of knowledge. Ignorance is bliss.
No, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. You get out of my ear with that.
People don't
You can be dumb as you want, but go and try to put your effort forward.
This is what I'm saying, that if you have the knowledge, you spread it along to the people. Like, talk to the people. If you have something to say, don't speak up. Don't be afraid to say it. Tell them about what's happening or about the system that got fired. I didn't know anything about it.
That's what he was trying to say. Been on television. You can read, you can hear, can't you? It's read, listen to me. Well, listen to me. All right, then. But can you read? Oh, yeah, but can you have to get a job? All you have to do, all it takes is petition people to get together. Now, she did something for this community. She had teach these people how to read, elder people, and everything, And
One mistake she made was she didn't organize them.
Yeah.
That's right, because when she taught, she would have been the one down there fighting.
Oh, they were, but they're just a bunch.
They weren't organized.
But it don't take a whole mass of people to do anything. It can be 3 or 4, and they can be just as effective.
But just read, just takes one for a whole lot.
Excuse me, sir.
Well, it takes the people for everything, man.
The main
I
basic,
wondered what you were going to say that.
You know I wasn't gonna let that one slide.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna let that one slide. No, the people got to do it.
I hope you can.
so the main basic is getting the people to believe what to organize is going to help them.
All right, that's a good point.
Because you know why? Like you said, your mom might tell you to do something, man, you're not going to do it right. Somebody tell them you made it. Because you know what? Every mother and father means the best for their child and children, but they don't know what's best for their child and children all the time, and especially after they grow up. I'm saying, who would say that? No, who would say that? But you
Be your own leader.
I know that. I am my own.
See what we doing now, what we doing now.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And basically, what we have now is a discrepancy.
No, it's all right. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with it because when we go to organize the people, now one thing we must understand: when we go to organize the people, everybody got different ideas, and we have to listen and understand and not jump.
I go to church, yeah. I go to funeral church, I belong to senior choir now. In fact, he's married. See, and he's married, my wife. I go to church here and preach, other preachers preach that. But I listen to man, but still, God gave me 5 cents. God gave me 9. So I listen to a certain, wait a minute, I listen to a certain extent. But I use common sense and dispersion my own self. And then that understand I don't have, I take it to God and ask him to give me a little more knowledge. That's what I'm trying to
Well, you
say.
think God will hear you?
Yeah. I can tell you something real deep, but I'm not going to go into it. He heard me. I'm sitting here today. If it would be for him, I'd be in jail.
How you know sitting here?
Because God got me saved.
How you know God got you sitting here?
I can't talk to you, man, because you don't know.
Yes, well,
How you know?
we were discussing
Because you ain't know.
How you know you're here?
No, let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something.
I hear you.
I understand. Once you go to organize the people, what I'm doing is just letting me show you some of the things. Because if you go to talk to somebody, for example, in the South, when I went to organize peasants, I couldn't walk in that room unless I started saying, "Good morning, it's a nice day, praise the Lord, thank Jesus, we're alive." If you don't say that, you can't even get up in the door. You understand? The other day I was trying to talk to a brother who's a Muslim, all right, not community, just an Orthodox Muslim. Now, I couldn't get my foot in the door unless we start talking about Islam and Allah. You understand? Now, if I want to organize him, that's what it means, understanding where the people are. So you must understand where they are. So the people talking about God and Allah, even if you're not concerned with it, you better go on down there a little bit, dip in it before you can pull them back up.
What I'm trying to say to you, brother, is this guy walked through this door now, and he tell you that, man, I'm hungry, my family's hungry. What you trying to say? Is my family hungry? I haven't got a job. And you gonna tell him about God gonna help you, or rather, because you're telling God, don't tell that man about God gonna help. Put some food in that man's stomach right there and help his family. Then that's God helping him, his family. Then he'll listen to you. But if you don't put some food in his stomach and his family's stomach, he ready to rob you, me, and everybody else in this church and God done rob in the street.
But you help yourself.
immaterial.
You help yourself.
I know you help yourself, but the man looking for a job can't get a job. He's helping himself right there, brother.
You help yourself.
Oh,
Man, don't you know there's a lot of jobs out
you
there?
sick, brother. You know, I mean, I'm saying something. Wait a minute, hey, let me finish. You know, God help them who help themselves.
Yeah,
See,
right.
and if you don't help yourself, if you well and don't try to help yourself, then you will. But if you get sick, you're gonna help you. If you well, he's gonna help you. If you're looking and seeking and trying,
But I don't buy that in no jobs.
I don't care what you gonna find. You find it what do you don't. That's your prerogative
All right.
to believe what you want, but you know, I didn't come here to argue, but what you believe.
No, we can argue. Ain't nothing wrong with arguing for the truth now. Ain't nothing wrong with arguing. Let me just say something. Ain't nothing wrong with arguing for the truth.
But
This
no,
need to
but
be argued.
that's not. It's always two sides to everything.
You know, they have a filibuster, you know.
Because I don't see your side. Your side don't mean that you're not right. Don't mean I'm not right.
Well, I say you understand me. People say you understand me, no jobs out there, but you didn't hear what I said.
Oh,
There's jobs out there, but you help yourself.
It's jobs out there, but
Yes.
without it paying.
Now,
Can
don't
you
you
live
know one
off?
thing? Don't you know one thing? You sit around here
What can you
and
live off?
looking for the right thing, and the right thing don't never go. You know one thing? I hope you hear what I said. I hump trash. You know, people hollering about, oh, that Billy, working on the trash truck. So what? So what? So what? You understand me? I help myself. Now, I am self-employed. Did you hear that?
All right. This one got the floor now. All right, this brother got the floor now. We can argue, but we can only argue one at a time.
Yeah, I'm helping my brothers. You know, yeah, I'm helping my
All right,
brothers.
let's get the other brother a chance.
Right, I am.
I'd like to say something to all the people here. Our people want to know how can we organize. We got to organize by informing the people that this situation today that we're confronted with in 1977 is serious. Very serious. People's lives are at stake. And this is one of the ways that we can organize our people. Make our people identify. They must be able to identify with the seriousness of this situation. Because if they don't identify now, there will be no later.
Yeah, that's what I feel it is, the problem, putting the problem in focus. You know, like, there's so many different opinions, religions, and different ways people go about living their lives that you gotta choose the common ground that people have. And then if they don't wanna give it their own problem, like, one problem guy works is like all of them. You know? If you can't organize along the grounds, then
All right.
you have no way to stop.
And now what we've got so far, the discussion is that a lot of people have said what has come out is that everybody got their own opinion about everything. All right? But now when you want to organize the people, everybody got to have the same opinion about the same thing. That's the only way you're going to organize them. So that means that if this brother here says that God can't do nothing for you, if this brother here says God can do everything for you, you understand, they'll never be able to be organized. So what we have to do is to find the meeting ground that will organize both of them. All right? Now there's only one meeting ground that will organize everybody, and that's the truth.
This is what I was trying to come to. Is that it's not what you believe, it's but what it is.
I heard that.
That's what I'm trying to say. You can take me to the factory and you can tell me, Smith, I will show me the fundamental steps from the base, from the little on up to the base stuff, and I can look at it with my eyes, but I can say, I don't believe it. But of because I don't believe it, but still, it's what it is. That's what's thing, the real thing. See, I mean, like having self-will. I stopped drinking liquor. You know why? I had self-will power. My wife could make me stop. I ain't go to no doctor, take no medicine. I stopped because you know why? I know it wasn't doing me any good, and I know I wasn't born to drink it. And I know it made me sick, and it made me do crazy things, and get me in trouble and all that. So I said, I'm not gonna let something bother me make me do it. So what it is, the real thing. Yes, it helped. It messed your mind up. It did.
You hear that? I hope you hear that.
I hope you hear it.
I just want one of your head. No, I don't want to see people how you got two heads.
Liquor make you
doing this side.
Liquor make you do a lot. Liquor make you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, okay. Did you hear what I said? Liquor didn't make you do it.
His brother's talking from his own experience. You can't see that.
You can't tell me what you can do. What messed up? See what I'm saying?
See, I'm not talking about self-experience.
Well, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking liquor don't make you do nothing, Joe. You can't say what liquor don't make you do. You can't say
We ain't talking about organized.
Well, this is the part. No. Just let it go.
People talking about organization.
No, let it go. Let it go. Don't be so excited.
Same thing. You got to organize.
Can I just say one thing? Let me just say one thing now. Organizing the people ain't gonna be no quick, fast, in a hurry job. It ain't gonna be that. And you can't think that you get people different in one room and in one day you're gonna get them all. No. Organizing is a constant, continuous, every day, little by little, tap, little by little, tap for years and years. And sometimes the work you do, the next generation gonna get it.
Well, what I'm saying, wait a minute, just a minute, let me comment on what he said drinking liquor ain't got nothing to do with this. Don't hear this. When you go to school to take up, for one thing, you got to take all kinds of subjects to get that one. You can't just take that one subject you go to school for, brother. So liquor's involved in dope and everything is involved in organizing. Yeah. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. I'm a little older than you are, and I got no sense to know that too better. Not that I know everything was wrong there. I got a 10-year-old daughter can tell me something. I got a daughter in college can tell me something. I went to 12th grade, a daughter. I got a son in 11th grade. I got a son in 7th. They can tell me something. But I think I can tell them something too. We can tell each other something, brother.
I hear you.
I know.
Okay, my sister.
Got my ear.
I bet my life on it. And I bet everybody life in from this world.
All right, let's get the sister now. Let's get our sister
You
over
learn
here.
something every day.
All right, let's get our sister over here. She'll help us.
I wrote a poem that I wanted to read to the crowd, and it says, "Blessed are the music makers, Nina Simone, Josephine Baker, only to name a few, precious is the one who do. Blessed are those who pave the way, now we can see the light of the new day. You're being pacified to forget we're black, always remember we can never go back. Acknowledge your culture, it's never too late. Remember, only the truth can separate. I'm not a militant, reality is sufficient. Before you are anything, you are human, only human. The world is the God, the man is woman." So all I'm saying, we put him in a lot of games, and he's like, we have to organize, we have to get to the point, but I need help in seeing what it is, that's why I'm here.
And the way to organize is to believe that we can be organized.
Oh, we know it. We don't have to believe that. We know we can be organized. There ain't no belief. We can do it. There ain't no belief. We
But
know.
you got to do something about it. You got to do something about it. You got to do something about it. See, go talking is cheap.
All right. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. A little bit louder.
I said, well, the organized have to have something to organize behind before.
Yes.
For example, like we as black people, as far as our housing, education, this right here, we could organize behind that. I'm saying you can get to a point when you start talking about religion, Islam, whatever. This will go on all day. But I'm saying we as the people, our educational system, our housing system, I'm saying we have so many problems that we could come together on.
Yeah.
Like
Let me ask you something.
that's something that everybody agrees.
All right.
You know, this is what you organize behind.
All right, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question on that one. I just want you to jump behind it before I get my point in, then he might slow you down. We have housing problems. We have unemployment problems. We have education. We have every type of housing. Even the garbage in our community is not properly collected. All right, so there's a problem. Now, if we organize the people, now, of course, man and woman, we are made up, and the world itself made up of two things, material and immaterial things. Even Jesus says, man shall not live on bread alone. You understand that? That's a powerful statement. You understand? Like you say Islam and you say Christianity, they've been around for 2,000 years. You understand? The problems that people had in them 2,000 years already solved. You understand? For example, if we organize the people around housing, today, and let's say we solve housing today, what's going to happen tomorrow? But we still got to keep it together.
That's what I'm saying. You got to start somewhere.
Yes.
Once you get started, and these basic, you know, I'm okay, let's say material aspect to begin with.
Yes, now there's the material and the immaterial.
So this is the first thing on our mind.
No, yes, but there's the material.
You have to start somewhere, the housing, wherever you start, with only pay you to tomorrow.
All right, now the question is, do we want to make, what type of organization how do we want to organize the people? Do we want to organize the people on a temporary basis, or do we want to organize the people on a permanent basis? Now, when I say permanent, I don't mean 30 years, you understand? I mean thousands of years. You understand the difference? We want to organize it like when Muhammad started organizing Islam. He wasn't organizing to put some water in the desert. You understand? He was organizing for 2,000 years. When Jesus started organizing, he wasn't just organizing, he was organizing thousands of years. He was going to put an organization which had proper principles, you understand, it was going to stay. So when we talk about organizing, we're not even talking about just clearing up the problems that this generation has. We want to make sure this one ain't going to have none.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. So that means that while we understand the housing is there, the unemployment, all of those things, if you're not careful, become primary rather than secondary. Because once the people are organized, ain't no problem they can't deal with. For example, if you come to organize 10 people in here over the housing problem, you organize them, you understand? And if I come and I organize 5 over long-range objectives that are going to keep them for thousands of years, you understand? Once you solve your problem with housing, those people fall apart. Then you have a problem with welfare. Then you got to go and find who will be welfare and organize again. For me, once I got mine organized, you understand, any problem that comes in our way, any problem we're ready to deal with. And we ain't going to break up once that problem is solved. As a matter of fact, it'll bring us closer together. So, huh?
I can't hear you.
No, not exactly coalitions. Now, this is a question of organization. For example,
But see, what would you organize on something on that level? It have to be
all right, no.
religious level or something.
Ideological. No, it can be ideological. It doesn't have to say religion. You can say ideological. For example, Reverend Coates is here. He's got a church, right? If some family it needs help, all you got to do is come before the church and say, Mr. So-and-so in the hospital this week, give us some money. It's already, you got the organization already. You understand? But now, if we're not organized, and Mr. So-and-so, her house burned down, or whatever, and the community comes together, we try and put the community together, raise the money, help Mr. So-and-so whose house been burned down, then the committee falls apart. You understand? So what happens is that once you begin to organize around issues, and if you're not careful, this system will encourage you. It will encourage you to organize around issues. And some of our best organizers are best organized around issues. You see them everywhere. Today, Mr. So-and-so burned out, they organize the committee. Tomorrow, there's a problem with police brutality, they're in the front leading the struggle for police brutality. Next day, they struggle with the housing, they're out there with housing. But all they're doing is they're helping little by little, putting Band-Aids, but every time they put one Band-Aid on and go another place, not only does the Band-Aid erupt, the cut gets bigger. You understand? So now if we talk about organizing the community, we must be clear. Are we talking about a temporary organization or a permanent? And permanent is to say for generations to come. Right, now when you start doing that type of organizing, it takes on entirely different perspectives.
We're speaking of a permanent basis. We're speaking of something that's going to be right forever, not something that's going to be right for a little while.
All right. Then if we're talking about that, then the issues that we confront shouldn't confuse us so much. We understand we're going to solve, not only that, we're going to solve every issue out here. Every issue. All right?
Yeah, but I was thinking that before you can get a total ideology, like the immediate problem is the question of survival now.
Not exactly, because men, the reason why I say that,
That's my observation.
all right, let me tell you why not. The reason why I say it, because I was once confused under the same thing too. The reason is that we say man does not live on bread alone. And if we're not just fighting for survival, you understand? If we're just fighting for survival, we might as well stop now. Because we're going to die anyway. You understand what I'm talking about? So it's not just to survive. I mean, why fight to survive to be 90? You understand why I just well give up at 30? You understand? Because no, I'm not fighting to survive. I have a contribution to make to humanity. That's what I came here for, not just to survive. And once I become conscious of the fact that my contribution to humanity is more important even than my own survival.
Yeah.
That's when I give my life for the people. You understand? But if I'm just out here to survive, I can't give my life for the people.
I hear you. I hear you. You're only
understand?
looking for what you can get.
Now, I was confused on it one time because this society will confuse you. Thoroughly confuse you. So you think you're really fighting. Yeah, man, it's for survival. Somebody said, a man in Africa told me, son, you don't fight for survival. I said, yeah, we fight for survival. He said, well, then die. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you're just fighting to survive, you're going to die anyway, die.
But in order to make that decision where you sacrifice your life, then a person would, I guess the immaterial things you were speaking of mean that you feel like you're living your life to the best of your ability, you know.
Yeah, but then again, that again would run some trouble. For example, a brother who is a school superintendent in any given city, all right, where we have a majority of Africans living there, all right, he may be getting, let's say, a $35,000 a year job, all right. Now he feels he's living his life where he might even give some money to the NAACP, might even give a life membership to the NAACP. That's what I'm talking about. Now he feels that he's living his lifestyle right. Now it may not occur to him that based on a whole process of exploitation, which he may not be aware of, he is part of the exploitative machinery. So it's not just a question of no, it's got to begin beyond that. It's got to be a question of principles. Got to be principles.
I think the question, brother, is running out. I think the question right now is they're saying that we aren't supposed to deal with long-term effects as well. But I think that there's some primary thing, not primary, but very important thing that hit us right now today.
I understand.
And in order to deal with the problem, say unemployment, it points out other contradictions that we see developing. I mean, to say that we can deal with housing and we solve the problem with housing and that problem this and that, that's really non-dialectical in itself, because in understanding the total ramifications of the problem of unemployment, we have to deal with the overall effect of, say,
But my brother, it can happen. Let me give you a simple example. I'll show you how.
It can't happen.
No. Even in our community, how they messed up Africans. A few years ago, everybody was running around talking about free political prisoners. The whole community. After that one, they came and they run sickle cell up on you. And the whole community was talking about sickle cell. Fundraising everywhere for sickle cell. Now the political prisoner thing is gone down to a level. The sickle cell done gone down to a level, you understand? They'll come and run another one up under you, you understand?
It becomes a question of raising the consciousness of the people.
Then.
And I think in dealing with short-term issues, short-term goals like, say, unemployment, which is a short-term goal, which we're seeking a longer-term, as you pointed out. I think this right here, in effect, raises the consciousness of people to another level.
This is what I was trying to get.
I still disagree with the position, but raise it.
Right.
Trying to get forward in that aspect, like you have to get started. And the people as a whole don't even know where to start. So this is all I'm saying for my per se short-term plan.
I'm going to tune you off with that. I'm going to tune you off.
You gonna tune me off?
I got it on mine, but I'm taking this ear and tuning him off.
Brother, you ain't gonna be good organizing that. That's saucy. You ain't gonna do no organizing.
I hear. But I'm tuning him off.
Let's hear him now.
I hear.
Because once you see what you can do, all I'm saying, you have to start somewhere.
All right.
The people as a whole have to start somewhere.
I started when I was born.
Not something on a broad perspective, have to start from basic.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Which one is more important, the long range or the immediate goal?
Of course, the long-range goal is more important. We have no problem with that.
Okay.
We're talking now about raising the consciousness of the people, right?
And
We're talking about dealing with those problems that immediately impact them at this date and time.
No, I'm not.
We're not talking about dealing with.
No, I am not.
If we began to say, hey, let's talk about a long-term effect, let's talk about, say, hypothetically, eradicating capitalism. Right? We begin to deal with somewhat of abstract terms and abstract phenomena.
Right.
We begin to deal with. Right now, we're talking about very basic kinds of things that affect our people.
Right, let me give you one that's even longer than both people. How about if you live right when you die, you will go to heaven?
Very abstract, very abstract. The long term.
Very long term, but not a whole lot of people together.
No, I think if you misinterpreted that phenomenon, I think you misinterpreted that phenomenon that it is that you agree. The church, in effect, gives the people an everyday outlet to deal with their immediate problems today. You see,
But is it based on the immediate or long range? No. Is it long range or immediate?
It's immediate for me to come here every Sunday and to give off my simple.
You know what's wrong, right? You know what's wrong. I don't think you listen to what Stokely is saying. You know, you don't have your ear. You don't have your ear. You know.
Let's hear this brother speak. Let me hear it. Louder.
I'm saying in reference to dying,
time you're baptized.
Practice every Sunday though. It's a long range plan. Why you have to practice every Sunday?
Because you reinforce it.
Right.
That's all you do, you reinforce it.
Right.
This preacher will come here and he will preach in this same church for 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years. Every Sunday he coming out of the same book.
No, I don't think people come here primarily to say, want to go to heaven after they die.
Wow.
That's not primarily why they come here. They come to the church. The church, institution of the church has always been an outlet for black people ever since they began.
No, they've used the church. If you look at the church property now, especially in our history, you find the African community is always struggling between the church to use the church either for revolutionary purposes or to use it for reactionary purposes. It's always been a struggle. You go all the way back to Nat Turner. He was using it for slave revolts. Uncle Tom preachers were using it to, y'all keep quiet, Jesus coming, everything gonna be all right. Even look at the period of King. King went in the church, took the people out of the church and brought them in the street to make them fight with the church. Other preachers were trying to help sit in the church ways.
And they were dealing with very immediate kind of things. The king was, they said the people coming to church on the
Sunday,
Sunday.
no.
It was very immediate kind of outlet spiritually.
The people are the church.
The reason why King had such
Where did he say that?
was because he took this long-range goal of Christianity and molded it for the immediate purpose of struggle against the enemy.
I'm going to point out somebody. We all want to see it.
No, we gotta hear what.
Now, if I said he
I'm
can't
going
hear.
to point out the Pentecostals was the church going, man, but you brought up those issues that impacted the people directly. Because Peter Thompson received the support of the masses of people.
Brother, I organized under Judas Hobson. I organized under him. He taught me a lot. I know when I was coming out. And we were in churches.
As far as the church is concerned,
Yes.
you know, and that the church served as an immediate outlet. That's sociology.
Let's discuss a little bit more so we can see.
Like he's saying, it's that the Uncle Tom preachers that tell you that you're going to get some honey and milk and one-way rolls and every day going to be Sunday in heaven. But see, now the real preachers telling you that we want our heaven here on earth every day. And when you keep trying to say that we want our heaven every day. They say, I go to church, but I don't go to church just to believe everything what the man saying. I believe what I want for my children and what I want for my fellow man. I mean, all everybody to be happy. Right? Give me some justice now. Give me some clothes and health now for my family. I go to church.
I can't hear both.
I listen to you 5 or 6 times. And I you know, what I like to say, I still listen to the church. So it's struggle. We got to learn to be courteous too. Each other organize. That's another thing. Organize means a whole lot. Courtesy and respect and understanding the greatest thing in the world. See, I don't. You might have a different way from me. You might believe something, but I understand you and I respect your belief. You know what I'm saying? See, I can still deal with you. See, because what I'm saying, if I get back to drinking, that I can sit in this to you all day long. You don't like you at all. But soon I get a drink of liquor and I call you an experience. I didn't never like me now, but just out of here. See what I'm saying? You do the same thing to me. So that's what I'm saying. Understand and respect is the greatest thing on earth. Understand? That's where you get organized. After you try to get organized.
Now your question about Kimber. No, I said. No, you didn't hear what I said. I said he used Christianity. Did he not?
It's a fundamental difference.
King used Christianity.
It's fundamental difference. Use the church.
King used Christianity. He never got the church.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Jackson still got the church.
Did you hear that?
Jackson still got it. Matter of fact, King, it shows you that King in fact never organized the church and organized the people around Christianity because as great as he was, with all the power that he had, he still didn't have any organizing power inside the American Baptist Convention, even to this day. When he went up there and tried to take it, they were fighting, a man was killed, but King still didn't have it, and Jackson still has it to this day.
Let's say he organized those specific churches in which he dealt.
He did not.
It wasn't
You can't hear. I told you you can't hear.
Christianity that he organized around. Even King himself, Gandhi wasn't a Christian.
No, but King was.
And you know, I'm saying the King father was Gandhi.
No.
That's what he said.
My brother, if you don't read King, he said that what he did was using the basic Christian moral principles and philosophies and combining it with the aggressive action of nonviolence of Gandhi, what got him nonviolence. But every time he spoke, he didn't speak about Gandhi. also this brother here, maybe some other people. Long range or short range, which is more important, and around which do you start, the short range or the long range?
Yeah, that's right, right. Like, I agree, the long term is more important, I agree with that. But I agree that we start with the short term.
That's where we disagree.
That's what it is.
I know. We must know that we disagree, so we have to.
Why should we start with something that isn't going to last? Why should we start with something that's going to be temporary?
You don't begin with the ass.
No.
Organize around things
With religion,
religion.
we have power. We have two powers.
Things to me right now.
Religion is long range. Religion is long range.
We're going one at a time now. All right, brother, you speak.
Religion is long range. Martin Luther King and all of our great leaders all believe in God. Everybody in this room has a common bound that we all believe in God. This is our meeting place. We start with here and we move on. If we had any non-believers in God in this church, they should all leave right now. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Look, raise your hand. Look here. Let me tell y'all something about organizing. If y'all go out to organize the people, and people say something, you get ready to jump down the throat, they ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, when you want to destroy somebody's argument, listen carefully to everything they say so you know where to cut them when you come back. Don't jump. Matter of fact, when they get hot, that's when you get cooler. Matter of fact, you encourage them to get hot because the hotter they get, the less clearly they think. But you always think clearly. You act like you're mad, but be cool. Louder.
He took a whole lot upon himself when he said about that everybody in here, excuse me, that everybody in here believes in God. Like, I'm not saying that I don't believe in God or do believe in God. But I'm saying he just jumped right out the street when he said that everybody in here believes in God. And then he took it even further when he said that if you don't, then leave. Then what's the purpose of leaving? What I'm trying to say. Why should he leave if you don't believe in God? And when God is not the issue that we're talking about, I'm not sure.
Chinese have opium, you understand? They took that out of opium, you understand? So they ain't nothing compared to opium. So we got to worry about that.
Oh, no, the children. Because that's what the children. Go ahead, Mom.
Okay, my sister.
I want to say something that what you all talking about King. Martin Luther King says, if a man hasn't found something
He's willing to die
for, he isn't fit to live. Now, another thing, people say about the people in Chocolate City are this and that. People in Chocolate City are more together now than they have ever been. If you go out and walk down the street and speak to a brother or sister, they'll greet you back. See, and the thing is, organized knowledge. Knowledge has to be spread. If you have some knowledge, don't be afraid to speak out and tell the people what it is you have to say. You might get some repercussions. They might not agree with you, but it's good. Put it out in the air. See, that's what it is. We've been holding all these things within ourselves inside. We know what the man is doing. We know what he's trying to do. We know we have to get together and unite, because united we stand, and divided we know we ain't nothing. See, but and another thing, we have to learn how to keep away from the media. That man's media. He will destroy us every time. He will blow up everything and make it bam. He will institute money, and money is the root of all evil. He will institute money into it. And if a man is not strong, he will let this money bring him down, and that media will take over, and the white man will distort everything that we have tried to do. So we don't need television cameras. We don't need radios. We don't need no news, nothing. You know, do it within ourselves. We don't need it because we tried that. See, that march on Washington with King, it wasn't supposed to be integrated. See, but the media got into it, and then what happened?
You know, I'm
just, we got some people.
Yeah, go ahead. I see. Go ahead. Yeah, well, we're talking about organizing, and all is directed toward generations, and we have some children over here. What part can these young pioneers play? Yeah, what part can they play, and how can we address ourselves when I think we are ignoring them?
All right.
Carry on.
I got family, I got to see the daycare, and I can give them this advice.
He's got it. He's got it.
Yeah, no, I'm just letting her know what she said.
I feel that it's important that when we do organize, we organize and talk to the people in a language that they can understand and relate with, identify with. I feel that the children, these children right here, that are in this church right here, are a very important part in this struggle for permanent respect and recognition as people, as human beings. This is our long-range goal, permanent respect and recognition as human beings. But we have problems and issues that we must face today, which are short-range goals. We must deal with that. But while dealing with the short-range goals, we must stress the long-range goals of permanent respect and recognition as human beings. We must tell each one of our people that everybody got a contribution to make. The babies got a contribution to make, the adults, the older people, and we must not be arguing and disagreeing with one another. Instead of arguing and disagreeing, we should be coming together on common ground, because we all have a common ground. We all oppressed.
That's what the sister said. I don't know. Do you really believe at this particular time we are more organized and we were more together
Yeah.
in the district
Right.
than that time before?
People,
People.
No, I disagree.
That's President Williams.
Well, we gotta see the hands. Now. We gotta see the hands.
I'd just like to say, as far as organization is concerned, and the reason why
Louder.
point said, I heard a few views here. I'd like to get some of your opinion.
All right, we're gonna bring it in. Yes, sir. It's all yours.
Yeah, right. You know, I was sitting in here, you know, listening to y'all hot questions down there. Yes, man, all the big words, you understand me? Now, I want to know if anybody in there got a key to the kingdom. Hey, Stokely was talking about the government, you know. I just want to know if anybody in there know what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think you know, but I want everybody to know. Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Kingdom is love, brother.
That's right.
I done lost you. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? I done lost you. Anybody in your head that could tell me if anybody in your got it. No, you can't. You don't know what I'm talking about. All right. You don't know what I'm talking about. Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Oh, yes, I heard you.
Did you know what I mean?
I heard you.
Right. Okay. That's all right.
You don't know what I'm telling us. You're so sure that nobody here knows what you're telling us. Since we're ignorant.
But you got to have that key first. You got to have that key.
I like to.
I can't tell you.
I like
If somebody in here got it, then it's something.
If you can't tell us about what you're telling us, then you're ignorant too.
Well, that is all. It is free and accepted.
If a person
It is
don't
free
know
and
that,
accepted.
then you're not
But
really
I'm
doing
asking them, do they have? We have women too, you
They
know.
said no, so
What I was
that
asking
requires
about, do
an
they have?
explanation or an answer.
But she asked me a question. Tell her. I said I
I like
can't.
to add to the young man right there, say about the point that it's part of the parents, regardless how old you are. Now, because you learn knowledge by dealing with life each and every day, and you can. Sometimes a lot of people haven't even been in school, had any education, but they're born with so-called motherhood, common sense, and as common sense through everyday life, and you confront with all problems and situations that you deal with, you can learn a lot that you can teach your children. Because see, a lot of parents, what I'm trying to say, they didn't get the education. So when they find, they say, I didn't get nothing, so I don't care about my children. They don't need nothing either. See, because now, one council I go to, AA meetings, and she was telling me like she went to school. Now one of her friends dropped out of school, didn't go. So she stopped associating with her. She was saying, oh, she thinks she's better than I am because she went to college. She didn't, but she didn't think it. But she should form that negative attitude towards it. See, so I'm saying you can put yourself in positions where that you think you don't qualify because you didn't go to college like John or Mary or Lou, but you still can qualify in those, you know, in certain cases.
Matter of fact, the more they go to college, the more ruling they get for the people.
Right. So I'm saying it's impressive. What I'm saying is to make an impression onto your child that you get it. I didn't get it. I'm going to be behind you, helping you back me up, so you can get more knowledge to deal with situations. So what I'm saying is that because, like now, if you qualify to do a job down there, I'm not going to get back down. So I'm down there. I'm going to stand behind you and certain other things that I can do. See, I like what you say about the parents. Okay, how old, how young, you can push each other, help each other, and I think that's beautiful what you said.
Yeah, brother, I'd like to make a comment to me, you know, like on like what role you feel scientific astrology would have, you know, black people.
Scientific astrology.
And also the question of food, you know, what basis should be standing at.
All right. Let me come to that when we get back to the other. Last 3 minutes time, sir.
No, I just want to comment on what the brother said up there. It's exactly what I was trying to say. It's like, you saying speak the language that somebody can understand. It's like somebody was saying you're going to talk to somebody about God or long range plan when it's gut. I mean, when he's hungry. Or when he's, you know, when it's cold air coming through his house. All I'm saying is that you have to have a common communication. And communication, like I said, basically comes from like when you start from physics. Long range plan, I think they can work in it.
All right.
Yeah, but I can't
my job is to give you the experience of what it takes to be an organizer, what it means to try and get people together. And the only way I can do it is when we get a chance. And I'll tell you about it, but let you see it. And I'll tell you, you're going to be arguments, brother. If you go out there and try and tell some of the people about what you got to do, like you go in a bar or a pool hall, like we used to go in the pool hall, brother, we shoot and say, hey, brother, we got to fight. They pick up the stick and say, we talking about fight, man. We fight you understand? Because the white man is bothering us, you understand? So this is what you're going to face. So at least you get a little bit about it. Here you got people interested in organizing. Out there, and one other thing I must tell you, an old man once told me in Africa, he said, when you go to organize these people, they ain't ask you to come. They ain't ask you to come, you understand? So if you get spit in the door, if you get cold chicken salad, if you get whatever you get, they ain't ask you to come. So since we're going out to organize and they didn't ask us to come, we just got to get prepared for some of what we're going to do. We're dealing with, you understand? So we won't be afraid. It also gives you an idea to see that when you go out there really talking about organizing, people go for wild things, and you just got to be capable of dealing with anything you meet out there. Everything. Check it out. We're going on, but just to show a little bit of process. And when we tie it all up, I hope, hopefully you'll be able to see it better. You understand? But it's not for me just to push my points. You understand? That ain't going to do it. I can tell you what the answer is. You understand? But what we want is a process where everybody can know the answer for themselves. You understand? So it ain't because his brother said it, I know this. You understand? I follow Stokely Ture. I picked him. I picked him. Ain't nobody give him to me. You understand? I know he's heavy. You understand? But when Stokely Ture says something, you understand? When I get up and I say it, I ain't saying it because he said it. You understand? I know it's true. You understand? If he blows off the way, I ain't blown off the way. You understand? Because I know it's true, and that's what we must build into the people. The process where everybody knows for themselves. This is true, not because the leader knows it or the expert knows it. No, I know it. So I got the two major points I come back to, and I got your question too, my brother, after this one.
Okay, what I was going to say was,
I'm going to organize this brother. I'm going to talk to him about, before I talk about anything else on his father, I'm going to put Africa in his head. You understand? Now, that's long range. Now, if I'm going to go for short range, I'll put Black American in his head, and better housing in America, and better education in America, and better this, and you understand? But once I put Africa in his head, you understand? Now, when he comes to look at better education, he's going to look at better education, but from one standpoint, how is it going to better Africa? You understand? Now, when he does that, it's entirely different from the Black American who's looking at it, because the Black American who look at education, how to benefit me in America. You understand? What you're going to have is, in fact, when you think you're organizing short-range goals, you're organizing, in fact, for the system in which you find yourself, not where it's over for. Long-range goals call for revolutionary planning, short-range goals call for reform. That's why it depends upon precisely which one you're going for. If you're going for revolution, you've got to go for long-range goals, no matter how difficult it is. The short-range goals are easier because it's reform. It's easier to get reform than it is to get revolution. But if you're on the long-range goal for revolution, ain't nothing saying you can't use reform for revolution. But before you can use reform for revolution, you've got to fix the long-range goals. Implanted so you can't move, you understand? Except for the long-range goals.
okay, another thing I want to say, first of all, I consider myself an African, first of all. And,
Well, you are.
like,
Well, some people don't know it.
right, I know. And the thing that surprised me, right, I seen some brothers who were originally from Africa, right? And, they were up at Bethlehem Park this past weekend, and this brother was with them. And the thing that said tripped me, I was like, you that term, brothers were calling each other niggas, man. Nigga this, nigga that. I said, man, can't be,
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying, it is something wrong with it.
What's wrong with it?
Okay, this is what I'm saying, right?
What's wrong with it? You act like it was what you did.
Okay. Well, I don't know how he was acting, but I'm saying, the point he was called a nigga, right? Like, I know the words can't hurt, right?
No.
But I'm saying,
Richard Pryor makes money off of that.
okay, I'm not talking about Richard Pryor making money.
But ain't nothing wrong with that.
I mean, you can make money off of
The words don't hurt you until somebody put a fist in your face.
I'm saying, hey,
That hurt.
Let him run.
Words don't never hurt.
Let him run it, man.
Go ahead, I hear you.
okay, I'm saying, okay, fuck, took another track.
No, you're talking about brothers on the continent saying nigga.
Okay, I'm not
They can do it.
I had to say two things. One of the things I had to say in reference to what he was saying, he was speaking about these different ideologies. First of all, I think one of the things we ought to do, since we are concerned, since our major point is joining together, we ought to consider other nationalities, and we ought to consider what they've done to join together, because I'm quite sure we're not the only people that had this oppressive problem. And we can look at other people and how they join together.
Now we can learn from others. We can, but we ain't gonna. We gonna learn from others. We gonna accept what they, but we gonna solve it ourselves.
No, but this is the point. See, this is the point.
We're not even taking from them.
No. The point is understanding some of the basic in joining together.
Yes.
And another thing I wanted to speak about is
Take your time.
y'all don't mind if I take a few minutes.
Take your time.
Thank you. Okay. Now, since we can't seem to get around religion,
No, we can do it. We can take Malcolm's line on it. Malcolm said it perfect. Malcolm said we're not oppressed because we're Christians, because we're Muslims, because we're oppressed, because we're victims of capitalism, because we're Africans. Therefore, when we come to discuss this problem, we put our religions in the closet.
Okay. Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave religion out. But it seems as though that everyone would like to express their own views on religion.
But you don't have to.
Okay. So what we ought to do then, since everyone wants to express their views on religion, we need to find something in our own religions that are joined together.
Of course, we take the positive aspects of it. But that's not what's to hold us together. We must find something basic to hold us together. Because, for example, we have Christians. If we talk about it, we got Christians and we got Muslims. You understand? So they're alone, you can't, you see. But we take the positive and something common, we can go ahead and do it.
And you were saying about what Malcolm said about religion, and this brother was speaking about going back to Africa. One of the things about it, if we even want to concentrate on something about going back to Africa, something also the brother said it involves a spiritual thing also. See, so we have to take ourselves back spiritually first.
You know what I found out the other day? That's the free slave. Go ahead.
I want to listen to the word nigger. See now, you got to let white people know, black people know that a nigger is a word that white people brainwash you with. That you a nigger means that you're nothing. I call a white man nigger, this week I call a black nigger. And have did right there in the student mirror. And I'm on the black people sitting in the place where all these white folks are. And I've made them laugh. I made them accept me. Because you know why? I told him, I said, I cut my hand, I was drinking liquor, and I cut my hand. He said, son, you trying to get white, ain't you? I said, no, I'm getting white folks. And you back on white folks paying money, living in the sun, trying to get black and pretty brown like me, and that's the thing you crazy. Man, you can say anything. But what I'm saying is, we've been brainwashed for a whole lot of saying, a whole lot of things, our color, skin, and we've been brainwashed. See, because in the South, most black people believe if you got a yellow woman, if you can't make a white woman, make a yellow, get a yellow woman, man, you're almost in heaven. You're in heaven saying something. See, so what I'm saying to me, I'm not just, I don't think no one's better than I am. I don't think I've been no one. I think I'm as good as anyone. And let me finish. So I'm saying, but don't let them call you nigger to get you down. See, they know that hurt you. So I talk to white people like I'm talking to you. I'm talking all white. I said, nigger. Nigger is just a word. If, like you said, if you act like a nigger, then you are a nigger. So I'm saying, nigger don't mean nothing to me, man. Because I'm not going to get a nigger right back.
You know, I am proud to be a black man. You know, the dark race rule this world, I just read, and found out the understanding me, and I went through all through school and everywhere. And I just found out it was a black man, a free slave that discovered Chicago.
Paul discovered.
Yeah. It was a black man, free slave. You know that? I wonder if you know that.
There's a lot of history we don't know. All right, now one try and tie something. One of them says. Short. Chicago.
Free slave.
All right, my sister's got it now.
On the brother who said about going back to Africa. Now, in my opinion, if you're speaking about long-range goals, that should be our long-range goals to go back home. Black people in those whites over there in South Africa, doing the same thing that we doing here. See, we don't belong here. Let America be for the whites and the Jews.
No, for the red man, 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 the red man, the red man.
Red man, I'm sorry, red man. I'm so far. Red man, stand for red man.
Other process of germination. We all in there doing is breeding in the name of slavery. That's all. Because you have to understand the composition of jellyfish when you know where you're going.
But don't worry, we just keep multiplying, we overcome.
But what I'm saying is stop letting the white people.
Back to organizing now, back to organizing.
I mean, to organize, we got to stop being brainwashed and stop brainwashing ourselves to organize.
All right. Now, in the discussion, I want you to know there are two lines that's being advocated. One, which is a minority position, is a revolutionary line. The other, which is a majority position, is a reform line. And of course, I organize for the All African People's Revolutionary Party. Our party is revolutionary. Revolutionary, that means to say we want to overthrow the system. We don't want. Matter of fact, you can see the difference between the revolutionary and the reform line. For example, a brother came to me the other day. He's reformed. He says he's revolutionary. He said, "Man, you see all these people unemployed? We must do something about it." You understand? I'm revolutionary. I said, "I want more."
No question. No question. No question.
Well, you understand? Let me show you what the difference is. I'll come there. People think that when a man is hungry, if you're trying to organize him, you feed that man, and when you feed him, you got him. No, sir. No, sir. You feed him, he might fall asleep on you. You know what I'm saying? When you want revolution, you want him hungry.
I take it from
you want him hungrier.
You
want him till he's ready to kill. Then when he's hungry, you say, you want to eat? Destroy this system. It's the only way to eat. But if you organize him while he's unemployed, he get a little good job. They give him a little bit more crumbs. No, if you want revolution, you want him thoroughly and completely alienated and dissatisfied with the system under which he lives.
Because if you feed him, he may turn around and think you got something and rob you.
The danger of the reform attitude is that you can come right back into the very movement you think you're fighting against once you've satisfied those immediate needs you're looking for. That's the biggest danger of it. That's the biggest danger. For example, if we have a lot of people here who ain't got no house, they got bad housing, and we wage a ruthless struggle for better housing, when we get better housing, the people will say, see, it's not so bad. If we get into trouble, we just go out and fight again. You understand? So that's the danger of reform, and that's why, if you're revolutionary, you don't ever start organizing along the immediate goals, because you get caught with it. Exactly. You get caught with it. You get caught with it. All right.
You say that we can organize, say, to fulfill the unemployment situation, better the housing situation. I'm saying that we can't act in America within the system to do that.
Why not?
Because the American economic system
Together is something else.
The American economic system cannot provide black people in
Cannot
America
satisfy.
those types of freedoms. They cannot.
It's impossible.
On an individual basis, some black folks have gained, et cetera, but not as a group. Our oppression is a group oppression. That's number one. So I'm saying that those basic, very immediate kinds of things that I referred to cannot be given to us in the first place. In the long run, we have to seek and overthrow others. Okay. But at the same time, you seek these things as far as organization, as far as tactics is concerned, in order to raise the consciousness of the people. I'm saying that's what raising.
That's why Stokely here.
I'm saying that the message is saying that, hey, first of all, we seek, if we could agree on long-term objectives, first of all, we seek the overthrow of the government. This man is saying, hey.
People are government.
Did
you hear that?
The man said, I'm going to deal with my father's unemployment, my father's housing. What are the contradictions that exist in trying to struggle for the unemployment in America? You see, the thing is, I think that we need to reform tactics. I'm not reform, I'm talking about short-term goals that deal with not only trying to resolve some of these the impact of today, but also in the long term, pointing out those contradictions that will lead the struggle on to advance. You see, I've never known a struggle historically to begin at an A and jump to Z. It always begins A, B, C, D.
Of course.
It goes through. You see, so you're talking about going from one point to another.
Now, what do we condition them to? The long range? No, no. I disagree with you. Now, let me give you an example. Let me use the African community in America. Let me show you exactly use the African community in America. All right. In the early 1930s, Mr. Elijah Muhammad began organizing. All right. In his organization, he never got involved in one issue in the African community. True or false? True. Did he organize a strong, disciplined organization? True. Around what? Long range or immediate goals?
But they didn't get to the masses.
You didn't hear what he said. You didn't hear what he said.
Muhammad gets to the masses. The masses of black people want Muslims.
He had growth of organization.
Elijah Muhammad, he has organized around social reform. No, it's a further thing. That had not, in fact, dealt with the fundamental structure of black people.
I agree with you. That's not the question, but I'm showing you that even why not be involved with unemployment, with housing, with education, with all those problems, what he did was all long-range, mystical, if you will, goals, able to organize a strong, disciplined organization. The strongest and most disciplined organization in our community, true or false?
I would agree. He had.
All right, so I'm just showing you that it can be done. Now, this one is for mystical reasons. Now, we're talking about revolution, so it can't be mystical, because it must be scientific. You understand? But and not only that, I want to show you that the people who he organized were the lowest layers of the society, the lumpen proletariat. Those who had the least amount of consciousness. Those who were even turning against their own people, robbing and shooting and fighting their own people. Those who were most concerned with the immediate goings of quick, ready cash in the hand. And he was able to take this mass, which every other organization is afraid to deal with, you understand, who want these immediate goals, and transform them to long-range goals, so that they would even take their money that they have earned from hard sweat and give it back to him.
And that was a failure of this organization. Because of their relationship, the economic relationship that they had with the power structure.
They were still supporting it. They would still support it. The failure was mysticism.
And they did not have the mental ability to seek, I don't say the mental ability because I don't think it's far from others. They had to seek certain long-term goals that we can deal with.
No, they were seeking long-term goals. They were seeking, his goals were clear, brother. His goals were clear. We have a piece of this land that belongs to us. Allah don't come and give us a piece of this land. All you got to do is be clean, don't eat pork, don't mess with white women, don't worry about their society, don't be corrupt, clean up, work hard, and Allah gonna take care of everything. That was the whole land. That's mysticism, of course. It is mysticism, because even in the early days, if you read his paper, when there was a hurricane, you understand, when he was in trouble, he used to say, Allah is coming, you see wiping out the white devils, you go back and read the paper. I grew up with the Nation of Islam. I'm organized. I was always looking for the right answer. I used to read them thoroughly. When there was hurricanes, you remember when there was a big plane crash in Georgia, and they wiped out about 100 white people, richest white families in Georgia. I'll never forget Malcolm running all over talking about that. On Harlem, he said, we told you. You see them big, all of them went down, them hunkies down there. They went down, Allah is doing that. Every time there was a hurricane, he was using this mystification to justify his system. But it is undeniable that he was able to transform a class that is most interested in immediate goals at any price possible and transform them into just about robots who are willing to wait for long-range objectives.
Yeah, you're right. He got robots. He got robots. What he got? They can't even make what it says.
The same, I'll do it all. I did an example here, but let's take Mao Zedong. When Mao Zedong was organizing, even Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh couldn't feed the people in Vietnam when he started organizing.
Oh no, but the thing is,
long range. All right, let's go to China. Mao Zedong. All right.
The organization was the landlord peasant relationship that existed in China. They organized around that first of all. And then from there, they saw the contradiction that existed between those who had the land and those who owned, those who did not own, that was production. Hence that contradiction intensified to a degree when it came a time where it had to hit all. And hence it sought, and its end objective was long term.
goes along these long-range goals. This statute that Mao himself got a, well, Mao said he can't look at his little county.
I'm not negating the fact that they did not organize around long-term goals.
I'm saying that is what, because they call themselves, they organize the Communist Party. You know what communism is? You know what that goal is?
I'm saying that tactically. This is our
No. It's the Chinese Communist Party. This is not.
No problem with that.
Is that personally organized? Is communism a short-range goal or a long-range goal?
We're talking about the party. The party was one thing. I'm talking about organizing of the people.
But the party, the Chinese Communist Party, that's what Mao got into.
I'm talking about the people. When they organize the people, they organize the people. What do they go out to tell the people?
They organize the people around communism. What is this man?
Well, look at Castro. Look at Castro.
It's long-range goal.
Look at Castro. Castro organized the ground.
Now, you know what happened? You know what happened?
Long-range
Castro didn't do it. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened to Castro. Let me tell you what happened to Castro. The Joint Chiefs of Staff right here, them whitest, got him where he at. As soon as he got there, yes sir. The Joint Chiefs of Staff, they run that man in the heel. The Joint Chiefs of Staff in Trinidad got him where he at now. He run the office out of Havana. Did you hear that? He run the office out of Havana.
We have to struggle with them. We have to struggle with them. There's no way. But if the brothers say the short range must be first rate organized, and I'm saying long range,
right?
We got to at least struggle with something when we come to some point. You understand? Because me, I'm afraid if I go to short range organization, then you know, after you struggle for 5 years to get better housing, short range. You understand? Then what happens usually is that the people are petered out. You understand? So if I'm gonna peter somebody else out for 5 years, I'd rather keep them out for something that's going to build for a long time, so even after they out the way, that's going to continue. That's what I'm saying. So even here, before you begin organizing, these are the questions you must come to deal with. And this is one that's very important. Is it medium or long range?
I'm saying the ability for black people to get housing, to get adequate housing, and to get adequate employment in America is impossible within the framework of America.
That's understood. And since it's impossible, come right after the jump and tell the people revolution.
But first of all, what you do is to deal with those problems. I have no problem with that today. If you organize people around that. But I say historically,
must.
That is not the case. That is not the case.
All right, let's see louder.
I feel that
Now we're getting a real discussion. Now we got the real discussion.
then you would just be someone else with another program. It might be a program with some federal funds. It might be a program for elected office. It might be a program for anything that will not take care of large groups of people. So then you have to have some method of establishing some type of credibility with the people, because they're not ready.
There's only one way. There's only one way. And that's like constant work among the people.
Right. That's the reason why.
That's the only way.
That's the reason why he's here.
That's the only way. That's the only way.
That's the reason why he's here.
Well, like break down what you would consider the pitfalls of Mississippi. And
All right.
do you believe that skilled revolutionary can deal with reform, on a short range basis, still be
Revolutionary.
able to like
Yes.
long range?
Yes, of course you can. Of course you can. And this is the question we're saying. It's a little bit more than what we're saying now. I'm saying that the revolutionary can deal with reform. Ain't no question about it, you understand? But he must understand that reform is not an end.
Oh no.
It's only a means. And the means is a means to destroy the very thing on which he finds himself. For example, if I'm a congressman in this country, I'm only using the Congress up there to destroy the Congress. I'm using my position in Congress to destroy it. I get up when I make speeches, I point out the contradictions. I show how absolutely ridiculous it is. I show the worthlessness of it. I show it has no power relationship to people. When I come to my constituency, I educate inside of there, you understand? That's what it means. But some of them, they get carried away and think that when they get up in there, they really can do something.
Right. But I think that, okay, good. But as far as mysticism, that goes coming back to the question I asked you.
We must root it all out. No mysticism.
What do you think about astrology?
Astrology? Astrology is a science, my brother, like all things. It's not handled like a science today. For example, if you go back to study the mystery system in Egypt from where astrology came, before one of what they even called them priests in those times, so the name is not the same as today because it wasn't mystification, it was science. But before one of them could even talk or give prediction about astrology, they had to study for 14 years. They studied the highest laws of physics, the highest laws of chemistry, the highest laws of biology, the highest laws of mathematics before they could even open their mouth. They had to study for 14 years. That means it wasn't until you were about 32 that you were coming out even being able to say something. It is a science, there's no question about it. But it's not handled like a science today, it's handled like mystification, because the enemy knows that the people are dissatisfied. He knows the people are alienated from the system and becoming more alienated every day. He knows it, you understand? So what he wants to do is throw a lot of things out there to just catch them, you know. This one, the stars, this other one, this new program, just to catch them, because he can't stop it. All he can do is hope to slow it down, you understand? He himself knows he can't stop it, he can just slow it down. So what we have to do is anything that's mysticism, sweep it out the way. Because mysticism has deceived us for too long. All we want out here is what you can see, I can see. What you can know, I can know. Not you who are special could know and only you can know. No, we ain't going for that one. We ain't going for that one. Everybody wants to be able to know. If I'm a pilot, ain't nothing mystical about being a pilot. You may not know how to fly, but you can fly. You've got the same ability to fly. So anything that this man can do, you must have the same ability to do. But anytime he got an ability and you don't have it, then ain't going for that one. Even if the Reverend comes up here and says he's God, and you know, he's the messenger of God, and he's the only one who can see God, I ain't going for that one. If he can see God, I can see God. That's when you get rid of mysticism, you automatically ingrain a theory of egalitarianism, where not only is everybody born equal, but everybody has the same opportunity to acquire the same amount of knowledge just like anybody else. It's not given to certain people. That's why we must wipe out mysticism.
What do you think about the civil rights of this country? Is it long range or short range? And can you kind of box this place up into?
The civil rights struggle in this can only be seen as short range. It can never be seen as long range.
If Baki wins this case, which I don't think he will, how far do you think that will set us back?
If Baki wins the case, he won't set us back, it pushes forward.
It will?
Well, again, it depends upon whether you see reform or revolution. Matter of fact, I wish they'd give it to him.
Why?
Then you get everybody together.
Hey, because number one, the goals of the 60s were in fact civil rights goals. Now watch how the left wing in this country can become confused because they're the one pushing Baki. Now they criticize us because they say in the 60s we were pushing for bourgeois goals, equal opportunity in housing, access to restaurants and public places, schools and all that. Now the Baki case represents in fact a bourgeois goal. You understand? Now I'm not saying that one should not fight for those goals, make no mistake about it. Of course not, you fight for every goal, yes. But it is a bourgeois goal. And what they're doing is the people who will be affected by the Baki case now is in fact the bourgeoisie in our community. And they're trying to coalesce the masses, you understand, through these demonstrations and mass movements to make the masses come out to fight for a democratic goal, for a bourgeois goal at a time when there are more profound problems in the community. This is just to rip off the energy of our people and to misguide it. That's all it's for. You understand? I say if he wins or don't win, don't make no difference. If he wins, we get more brothers and sisters going into university, better chance to work with them and make them get their knowledge and use it for the mass of people. If he don't win, we get the bourgeoisie upset. We ain't got to worry about divisions. They're already in line to fight. They're already in line to fight. So it doesn't make any difference really, that much. Doesn't make that much difference. Matter of fact, I hope they do roll it back. Because once they roll it back, it will again bring pressure on the community. Now, I'm a revolutionary, you understand? In revolution, you have to be able to mold and bend the people. Stokely Ture says, when you take steel and you want to mold steel, you got to put it under pressure, make it white hot. The hotter it is, the easier it is to bend. He said, what do you think about people? So the more pressure we got, the better we are able to mold and bend and go forward.
In other words, make us see.
Make it hot. Yeah, I want it hot. I want it hot.
Right.
That's why I want to be careful about how I move to reform. Because by moving to reform, I can be putting Band-Aid and helping to keep the people quiet. You understand? So when I come to look at reform, I look at it from a revolutionary point of view. Is it going to help the revolutionary program, not the system against which I'm fighting? Because the reform program can help the system. If they go out and get all the people to make, like, let me show you what they did with Angela Davis. They had everybody out here putting their energies, free Angela, free Angela. Once Angela was freed, all that energy.
When it was wasted.
All that energy. Of course, now, nobody could not argue against freeing Angela Davis. Nobody cannot. How can you argue against that? You must fight to free her. You understand? But when you take all that energy, you understand, you had that energy going, and just do it like that, and then when it's finished, you just drop, man. Now you got to come and work all the way back up again, you're just wasting time. No matter what the best intentions. The road to hell is laid with the best intentions.
So again, you must be here scientific. Is this program going to help us on a long-range view? If it is, good. If it's going to help the system later. Because in the end, the answer to David's case does help the system. Because the system proves that we ain't so bad. You know what I'm saying? We ain't so bad. Maybe you just take a little bit of pressure to put on us, but with a little bit of pressure, we can mold. Therefore, you don't need revolution. That's exactly what it says to people. Therefore, you don't need revolution. You understand? So again, all these programs must be handled from the point of view of your long-range objective. Otherwise, you get confused. You get totally confused. Now, a lot of organizations out there are going to spring up. They're going to be dealing with welfare. They're going to be dealing with tenants organization. They're going to be dealing. They're going to be all over. You understand? But as long as you're clear, not only will they not confuse you, they'll be working for you.
Right. You know, I was just wondering, like I was saying, that, I'm proud to be a black man, I remember, you understand me, when the whitey was killing their own people, And then here's a man that sits back and says, I'm a Anacostia return. As Eisenhower left a whole battleship of Negroes out there in the ocean. Out there in the ocean. And they was killing their own people up. You know that? White man's a dumb dude, Yes, indeed. In the Harmony, they won the war. Black man won that war. You understand me? Don't get no consideration, though. No consideration. I'm proud to be a black man.
This is important because just 2 days ago, I was reading the Russian Encyclopedia on Africa, and they showed, for example, in World War I, now we didn't complete the numbers, but I gave it to brother to complete it for me. In World War I, the British, the French had 500,000 Africans under arms. The British had 500,000.
Yes, indeed.
The Germans had about 200,000. You understand? I forgot, the Portuguese had some, he had all of them, and he didn't have how many America had. So I went to brother, go get America, put them all together, you will probably see that we were in fact the majority fighting force in the armed forces in World War I. Again, this just goes to show you a question. If you don't take your history as a unified whole, you get confused. You get totally confused.
Right.
This comes now to the point that I'm really getting at, because we get to that and we'll bring it down.
Okay, I would like to say that the best organizing for black folks is love. And we have to do is spread a little love to our brothers and sisters, and it'll all come out in the end. And this is a long range, because love is forever. See, God is love, and Allah is love, and that's forever. And about our housing situations, we don't have to sit back and wait for that man downtown to appropriate money for our houses. We have friends, brothers, sisters, uncles, nephews, relatives, whoever, who have skills that can fix up our houses, our own selves. We can build our own.
We must be organized. We must be organized.
We have to start somewhere.
Well, don't you know one thing? Let me tell you something. The people in Annapolis, you understand, is well together. I come from Southwest, right down there in the ghetto. The white man said ghetto, and we said slum. I was born and raised in the alley, but that alley was so beautiful, and them houses were so beautiful. See how people make that stuff living property.
This is what I'm saying. Spread. An individual has to have love for himself before he can love another.
Oh, I love everybody. I love you, baby. I love everybody.
All right, this is, I'm not thinking getting off the issue, but we want to get clear on the issue. It is a question of organization. We have all these things. It's just a question of how to pull it together. That's what we're discussing.
Right.
Just do it.
All right, go ahead.
It is easy. It's not that easy. That's one thing. We have to be positive.
We are positive.
We're not negative. We're not negative. We're not negative.
That ain't up for discussion.
How? Everybody wants to know how.
I say, how much style we gonna win it in?
Time?
How much style?
Style?
Yeah, we gonna win. Ain't no question about it. It's a question of how much style we want to win it. Well, we stylish.
What about white people?
What white? I never seen a white person.
You think white people can be genuine help to help us?
We shouldn't look at white people as a genuine help to us. We should look to them as genuine revolutionaries to destroy vicious systems and to fight for just systems. That's all. You don't have to look for nobody to support you.
So you think that racism should be conscious of us as black people?
Of course, but white people are going to fight against the system. Everybody workplace in this country is going to fight. There ain't no question about that. They got to fight. You understand? We have an independent movement. Anytime you have a movement, you must decide only upon the strength of the people inside the movement. The first law of revolution is self-sufficiency. You understand? So we have a revolution to make. We decide this is what we got to do. How much can we do by ourselves? We got to do it all by ourselves. If somebody helps us, fine, we can take it. If they don't help us, no problem. But ain't nobody gonna help us and direct us. And the only way you will stop that is when you depend only upon yourself and know that yourself is capable of doing it. You don't need nobody else. If they help you, fine, thank you. In Africa, you don't refuse. Thank you.
Well, is racism unrevolutionary?
Of course it's unrevolutionary.
Sure it is. I tell
It's
you,
reactionary.
you know what blows my mind? You know what blows my mind? You hear about the native grind, you understand me? Supposed to be Christian, you understand me? Born against, you understand me? Faggots. You know, that's not Christianity. A person is what he is, and let him stay what he is. You know, they find people and something. I was running around, and we had one of the biggest faggots in the world, but he was smart. He thought it was good. He thought it was good. No, Mr. Jenkins down at ground. That's was a stone faggot, but he thought it was good.
Yeah, but the school system has been infiltrated by that.
No, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't not in them days. You got to your mind.
Let's go forward.
He was a good teacher.
What about food?
All right, my brother.
See, every man got those sugar.
My brother, the question of food people raise. Me, I'm a very bad person to ask about it because I'm traveling all the time. One day I'm here, next day I'm there, and I'm eating whatever people eat. So I'm very thankful about it. I know I should be, my brother, but I'm just saying at certain times you can't do it.
Right.
If you're not careful,
right.
I remember some people used to make food such a dominant thing that in the 1960s, if you ate pork, people would tell you you're really revolutionary. Now, I'm just giving you an example. Right. I understand it's important, but I'm saying certain things has to be regulated at a certain time. I know this human machinery. You understand? It's not just about anything. I know that. During the Chinese Revolution, where Mao Zedong, when the people didn't have food, they took off their shoes and burnt the leather from their shoes and made soup with it. That's a fact. You understand? So I'm just saying it is important, but you got to figure out what's more important at a certain time in your life. I'm not saying it's not important.
Yeah, it's very important.
It is very important, but I got to fight with what I got. I can't afford to buy that. It's what I can afford to get, but unfortunately, it's the best I can do this time. I'm not saying it shouldn't be neglected. No, it's important, but we now can't even talk about it scientifically because we're not even producing.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's a part of it.
But that could be a motivating force to make us produce even more, or to reach to a quicker position where we can produce properly. I know, but it is a fact, my brother. When a brother comes to me and says, well, we should only eat this or eat that, it's a fact that we have to depend on others to produce that. Is it not? I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not saying that we shouldn't take care of our health. Of course, you cannot say that. And I'm saying that I'm a very bad person to ask because of where I am. And instead of that, I will leave here, I'll drive somewhere. On the way going, we're going to get hungry. If I didn't get time to eat meat, I'll just stop eating. I eat meat, yeah. Well, now that's not true now, because you know, the Messiah eat meat. And the Messiah some warriors.
You know, people always
and they eat meat raw.
Right. We're talking about science, and we're talking about biology, and making a better person so that the thoughts can be clear.
Well, I think my thoughts pretty clear now. I don't
I'm not saying that. I'm only saying that, you know,
just because you're vegetarian don't mean you think clearly.
You know, I'm saying people always talk about, you know, what they eat, you know, the health food and stuff. I just want to float out here. Float right on out.
Food program should be part of the overall program that we have.
It cannot be at this time but that you're being serious to organize the masses.
No, I think we can.
I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying the question. But it's a question of priority. Are you saying that I would say it's better to teach the young how to shoot than teach them how to eat right?
Right.
Priorities. Huh? No, yeah, it's a reality. It's a reality. You talking about people on unemployment.
Nope.
That means unemployment, you can only eat really what you can afford.
See, the way that we act against each other in the community as black people is contributed to what we have in our bodies.
I'm not
that,
sure.
Well, I mean, this is fact. This is scientific fact that make us, you know, aggressive with one another. That is the result.
Okay, I agree with that. Let's say
that's the result of a lot of sugars and a lot of drugs and other things in our body.
All right.
So, you know, when you find this out, you can do this yourself. you can deal with foods that won't cause disturbances in your body, you will be more harmonious towards, able more to be done.
No problem. If we organize it, is the primary contradiction out here with the food we eat or with the capitalist system we face? The capitalist system. Which is the primary contradiction? The food we eat or the capitalist system we face?
Capitalist system we face. Overall contradiction, but he keeps spreading the chemicals and putting all that stuff on that food. To deal with overcoming the capitalist system, and we have to choose many routes. There have to be many specialists and different methods for helping the entire program. And the only thing I'm saying is food is one important route.
The best way to destroy anybody is to mess up what they put in their bodies. See?
That's no question. But is the fundamental contradiction with the food we eat or with the capitalist system?
Well, okay, the capitalist system is solid, right? Okay, but we as individual people have to take care of ourselves, so we don't have to worry about that capitalist.
That's the question. But think this: if we destroy the capitalist system, then we can control the food we eat.
We don't have to destroy them.
Yes, we do.
Control what we eat.
Now you want to reform. See, that's why I'm going about it. You run it right to reform. As long as the capitalist system makes you eat some vegetables, you ain't gonna mess.
Why don't you plant your own garden, man? Why don't you plant your own garden?
God is planted, brother. It is. God is planted.
It is. But we want you that if we eat the right food, all of us eat the right food, it's still not going to solve the problem. The major contradiction of capitalism.
I heard. Let me ask you, brother. Let me ask you one question. But I'm going to repeat what he said.
Speak loudly.
Okay, let me ask you one question. You want to organize. Let's say you want to go.
Let's let the children go out. We thank you all for coming. You must study hard for the people here. I hear you. Oh, thank you. We're not finished now. We're gonna type in 10 minutes, bro. We're gonna type in 10 minutes. Well, you can 10 minutes. You can give up the cigarette. You want to give up food? You can give up cigarette for 10 minutes. I'm encouraging you to do right. Come on. Well, if it is, you're supposed to help regenerate it now. If you're going to organize and they're going to degenerate on you.
It sounds good, but then just perhaps
he's confused.
All right. All right, let the brother go now. Louder, louder.
Yeah, you can't speak now. You speak You said our goal is to organize. But let's say, if you want to organize some things, you might go some far away. But you need something to get. There's no food what you like to get. What are you going to do that time? Are you going to starve or you don't want to organize?
First of all, there's a difference between starvation and fasting. Okay, the only difference is fear, because you can live without food. How long? Well, as long as you have water, you can live quite a bit of time.
Oh yeah, I fast.
Okay, but the only difference is in countries like in Sahara and other places, because drought is coming to this country also. CIA has published reports on it, and that's available. Okay, but now I'm just
before you go. You say in Sahara, you want to organize some people in Sahara. What are you going to do?
Well, I don't know too much about it.
You
said that job. I'm only giving you an example of things that I have read about. I've never been to Sahara. But there's a difference between starvation, forced starvation, and fasting, or abstinence from food. And the main difference is in the mind of the individual. That is fear, being afraid. Because when you're afraid that there is no more food, that causes biochemical changes in the body. That really begins to dehydrate the body. And then you have problems.
depends on the level of water, the quality of water that the person is able to get. It depends on the work and the energy that this individual burns. It depends on a lot of circumstances. But people can survive with pure water and without food for some period of time.
Right, okay, hey, Stokely, let me ask you a
Wait,
question.
you don't have to call yet. Hold on.
I hear him. But you know, they ain't reaching no agreement. I know, but we're in the listen, I can hear.
So if we're gonna be elevated persons that make our situation better than what it is now, food is only one of them.
Once you break the capitalist system, then you're even in a better position to talk about food. Because once you break it open, now you can produce. You don't have to put all these things that are bad for the body. You don't have to put them out on the market.
But that's why I asked you about the steel revolutionary movement and reform to achieve the overall goal.
Yeah, but then that's why I go back to saying, no, I'm coming to the fundamental contradiction, revolution, not reform. But what we can do is that, as a matter of fact, if what you say is correct, let me show you how dangerous it would be. If what you say is by certain foods will make us more harmonious with each other, then give us all these foods, and we could be so happy with each other, you understand? And that just doubles consciousness for a little while.
Hey, Stokely, we've got about 8 minutes. I want to see if Stokely can answer this question for me in a few minutes.
Okay, the quality of the
I got some deep stuff to run to.
that it's important that we have to be intelligent and have, good quality thoughts in order to be able to analyze.
Okay, can I tell you how I think we get good quality thoughts? Only through struggle.
Sure, struggle.
Only through struggle.
There's always struggle, but the thoughts have to emulate from within.
No. I knew that was coming. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, let me get my point across, okay, what I feel.
You take an idealistic position.
Yeah, right.
I'm taking an idealistic position.
Yes, you are.
Because I have struggle, my life is based on struggle.
And I'm saying it's only through struggle that you get proper qualified thoughts. Only through struggle you get the qualified thoughts, not through the food you eat.
Well, see, what you equate that with struggle is that experience is the best teacher.
It is the only.
It's the most painful teacher.
It's the
You
only.
were given as people intelligence. You understand? So intelligence alleviates a lot of experiences that would be unnecessary for us to suffer.
But they must either understand that either directly or indirectly. True.
Intelligence has a material right.
Of course it must.
Right. Okay. But as teachers and as leaders,
That's how. All right.
we must, in a sense, instill the proper method of analyzing and intelligence to our people.
From the outside.
Well, that's fortunate. That's no. So see, you said directly and indirectly.
Right.
I say indirectly, our thoughts are the quality of the food we eat. I say indirectly, okay? You even brought that up. Not directly, okay, but indirectly. Because the type of thoughts that we think, our ability to even analyze situations depends on our blood supply. The blood that circulates the brain, that feeds the brain. Now, if the blood is impure, that will not allow quality thoughts to enter or be formulated in the mind, because the mind is a physical entity within itself. It is a machine that must be fed blood. So with the purity of the blood is based on the food, the types of food that we place in our diet.
Stokely, because I don't think that people who would consider to be great thinkers ate different food.
Well, we have great thinkers that come up under, they come up under odds. I'm not saying that the entire thought process, quality of thought is based on like what we eat, because it's obvious that a lot of athletes that are gifted in their own way, they eat meat. But that's struggle. Again, that's what you're saying, struggle. But we had not the time to allow or to even put everybody in a position to deal with struggle. Or to experience what we have experienced.
No, we must, because you can only learn through your own struggle. It's only when you learn through your own struggle that's properly learned.
As a revolutionary, I learned that we must be willing to eat rats to survive. And how pure is rat meat?
How you didn't think this Hey, can I have your ear for
All right, 1 minute. I think the question of food is well taken, but I really think that the fundamental point is the struggle against capitalism. But without replaying it, we're just saying that some people try to make it more important.
Right.
The reason why I'm saying so hard against it too is that if you go back to the Nation of Islam, Muhammad speaks in their paper, they had a strong point that what you eat is supposed to make you so You know, we had the whole section.
You always treat it, but it's effective. It's very effective.
Well, I don't know. I ain't seen them struggle out here, brother. When you struggle was I ain't never seen them struggling. That's a fact.
They don't have to struggle on. A lot of things.
No.
Stokely, you have to struggle. You have to struggle. We all struggle. You have to listen. Because
you said they didn't have to struggle.
Look, no, it's certain things within dealing with the sociological relationships with each other that they didn't have to struggle. You know, and then on some points they did. But I don't want to struggle.
My brother here, and then we're gonna tie it up.
Right, I got a question for you, Stokely. You talking about togetherness. You know, how come you understanding me and black Africans, ignore us?
Well, I'm not sure they do.
Oh, yes, they do.
No, they don't. Yes, they do. Let me give you an example.
Yes, they do.
Let me give you an example.
Yes,
if you go, now this one is right there, you can see it. If you go and read the first charter of the Organization of African Unity, you will see that as weak as they were, they put a statement in there saying that discrimination on part of governments against people of African descent living in other parts of the world will cause serious conflict between the African governments.
Yeah, well, I went to a cabaret. I went to a cabaret up at Embassy Road. I went to a cabaret last month up at Embassy Road. And you know how African people were sitting here, and we tried to get in that table, and now man, this table here, you can't get in here.
Oh, that's something else. Well, you know why I can't answer that question? Because I tell you, they treat you fine. I'm not thinking about my wife.
We couldn't even. I know you're white, and she can get in my ear. She can sing in my ear anytime. She can sing in my ear anytime.
I just want to show you how nice they can be to you.
You know, when you, well, that's one.
I know. I get one. This is the wife.
I know this is before you married her. I knew it. She had my ear. When you look on city.
It's just getting me trying to find us. Even if they don't want us, we have a responsibility to let them know that we are brothers.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, when you were speaking, when you were speaking in Meridian Park, when you was on 14th Street, and I was telling you I was up there, you know.
Now we gotta roll on. Just sit right now, we're gonna roll on this time. Yeah. Come on. Let me roll it over. Now we discussed a lot of things. Some people said it generated, some people said more off. The reason is that you must know if you are really concerned about organizing the people, this is just a small example of what you must be willing to go through and fight against. When you go to the community to organize, you'll find brothers who will tell you if you don't talk about God, you ain't organized. You'll find brothers who tell you if you don't talk about food, you ain't organized. Now push them to it, of course. But to give you an example, you'll find brothers tell you if you ain't talk about Allah, you ain't organizing. You'll find brothers that tell you about so many different things. If you are an organizer, you must listen to each and every one of their different, various, crazy, and mystified ideologies. If you're an organizer, you must listen, because it's only by listening that you'll be able to detect, number one, their fallacies in thinking, their incorrect positions, and the positive points that you can hook them and pull them over into. All right, that's one. Again, I go over. Anytime you go, don't get discouraged. If you get discouraged, you ain't helping nobody but the enemy. If you get frustrated, you ain't helping nobody but the enemy. All right. Secondly, the question of long range versus short range. Long range must be the most important if we're talking about revolution at all times. That's where we start. It is the most difficult to start with. It is the most difficult to start with. It's easier to start with what they can see. It's easier to start with unemployment. It's easier to start with welfare mothers. It's easier to start with things that they can see. It's the easiest, but it's also the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous because you get so involved in that one thing, and you are doing some good, make no mistake about it, that you can't see the forest for the trees. Therefore, the long-range one, the one that you go for, while it's the most difficult, it's the most rewarding. Again, we go back to give the example of the Nation of Islam. If that one were to now hook in with the issues in the community, it would have gone. We organized the All-African People's Revolutionary Party. Ours is revolutionary, therefore it's long-range. Our objective is Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. Now, when we try to organize, people jump and say, well, how do you explain that to the man on the street? The man who's unemployed, the man that they do that, with long range. You understand? Even if it's going to take us 10 years to knock this into his head, you understand? That this is the only thing that's going to solve the problems for generations to come. If you could take 10 years to knock it in his head, once he got in his head, you're going to have revolution. Once you're going to have revolution. Because your job is to politically educate the masses of the people. And to politically educate them along revolutionary goals means first long range. No matter how long it takes to get that base before you move, you must have it. It's easier to move with the short range, very easy. Yeah, I can do it, I'm an organizer. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. We need to get your issue, you can organize. Especially today because there's so many problems. But that short range organization will not do it. It must be the long range goal. We say the objective, and this is the only solution that's going to solve our problems. Now, just when you talk about the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism, it means you have a lot of battles. First, you got to tell the brother that Africa is his home, America is his home. You understand? Now, that struggle. Now, people want to run from the struggle. You understand? Because, like we said, they have a tendency in this country to run from struggle. It's easy to come and talk about unemployment and organize around unemployment, talk about housing. It's easy to do that, but it's difficult when you're fighting against a key spot that the enemy knows. And once these Africans in this country understand that they have no loyalty to America and the capitalist system, and understand their loyalty is Africa, nothing will stop them. Absolutely nothing. And once you teach a little reform, if you haven't put properly in the long range, you'll still be hooked to the American capitalist system. They'll still be tied to it. And not only will they be tied to it, but they will be looking to benefit their condition inside the capitalist system. And once you're looking to benefit your condition inside the system, you're finished as a revolutionary. Ain't no way out for you. Now, in fact, after a while, you come back and say, it's the best one in the world. You understand? So the long range one, that's our party's task. That's our goal. We understand it. The ideology of our party is encrumism. This one, again, is more task. It calls for hammering in the people. We say it can't be done unless we are organized. Now, in the back, you'll find some sisters who have some slips about our party. Fill them out if you're interested. Let me tell you something about our party. It's revolutionary. So we ain't going for no quick, fast, in a hurry solution. The organizing that we are doing now, we are going to lay down ideology and institutions that will affect generations to come. So our task is a serious one. We're not just talking about feeding the man. No, we're talking about how 5 centuries from now, you understand, everything's going to be moving forward in our society. That's what we're talking about. That's the responsibility we have. Now, people say to me all the time, I find brothers and sisters our age, I'm 36. They come to me all the time and say, my grandfather, he didn't do nothing, Jim. He didn't do nothing. If he'd done something, I'd have been so-and-so. But while they're condemning their grandfathers, and they recognize that their grandfathers had an effect on their lives, they don't recognize the effect they have on their grandchildren's lives. Now, in our party, we keep trying to strum into you every step you take, just like the step your father took, just like the step your grandfather took, had an effect upon your life. Every step you take has an effect upon your great-grandchildren's life. So here, too, you must come to see organizing as this long-range goal. Now, we didn't discuss Pan-Africanism. That's not important. That's a solution. We know it's a solution. We say that if people are really interested in organizing the people, if they really are concerned about the people, they will struggle, 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 and they'll find the truth. So all we can do is encourage you. If you want to find out about our party, you can sign up. Our sisters there, brothers back there will talk to you a little, and then call you back at a later time and explain. If you're not interested in the party right now, then we encourage you to struggle. In any field you want to struggle, just struggle for the people. Because we know once you struggle for the people, you'll arrive at the correct conclusion if you're serious and sincere. We thank you very much for coming. Your interest has inspired us to show that people are inspired. Of course, we want organization. We want it, and we want you to help us organize. We just discussed some of the things about organizing in the party. We'll discuss it more. One other thing. In our party, if you come and look at the party, we struggle inside the party. We have big arguments inside the party. Matter of fact, we struggle more inside the party than we do outside. We encourage struggle because we're not afraid of it. We know it's only through struggle that you learn. So we even prepare you how to struggle. Cynthia?